know why you were laughing. Did anybody hear his explanation? Did anybody hear his explanation?
Quit over talking me.
Well,
Of course, it could be a host of reasons.
Yeah, Raw, I've got another question, if the forum doesn't mind. You said one of the reasons why you believe is because you were indoctrinated. Well, okay, many atheists grew up in the church too. And, they were theists at the time, but they dissented from that. Other than that, when you look at the world around you, surely I guess you would even say you see evidence in the world around you, do you not?
I believe in evolution, and I guess the strongest argument, the one that gives me the most pause, it would be the argument from design. A lot of the variables seem somewhat, I guess, tuned, but I can't. There's I have a lot of questions about that as well. But that would be the best argument.
Yeah, other than indoctrination, you're talking about the fine-tuning of the cosmological constants, the evidence that we observe around. Well, atheists understand the cosmological constants are mathematically adjusted as well, but they don't see that as evidence for God. My point is, aside from your indoctrination and experience, fixed. Use that word. That's fine.
They are what they are.
Apart from that, fine. They're fixed nonetheless. The thing is, though, Raw, you would say that you do see evidence in the world around you. Why do you think atheists don't see that? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, I don't think that most of the things that we see is evidence of God. I wouldn't say that.
Really?
Okay. I mean, like if I look at a pebble on the road, I don't have an understanding.
Why is Jonny laughing at that? Does he think
because he doesn't even know what he means by evidence, Jack. That's why he's laughing. He's laughing because he has not in any sense any kind of thought out or rigorous definition of evidence. He just
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
Yeah, what's your definition of evidence?
Yeah, indication. Actually, the phrase grounds for belief is also a phrase to define evidence.
So
there are indicators. This is according to the dictionary. If you don't like it, if you don't agree with it, you can look it up and see for yourself.
Do you think evidence is what is expected on a hypothesis?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so...
Yeah, so how's that?
So what is...
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I mean, I'm just wondering, how the...
Yeah, I mean, the question is obvious,
Yeah,
it's why do you expect a pebble on the God hypothesis and not...
Or to be expected in one place rather than another, right?
Right. Seems like it's compatible with both.
I don't know what a not God world looks like, so I can't really even address that. I don't even fathom that. Yeah, I can't imagine that. So that's going to be the difference between you and I. You can imagine it, apparently. I cannot. But my point to Rawl is, he says that aside from the experience and the indoctrination, that there are things such as what he considers the fine-tuning as to be evidence. Now, I'm curious if atheists would like to challenge him based on his perception.
When you say that you don't know what a non-God world would look like, is it that you think that the proposition that God exists, to deny that would entail a logical contradiction?
I just cannot conceive of a not God world, Jack.
Do you understand the meaning of the proposition that God does not exist?
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand what it means. So the question is, right, do you think that between those two propositions, God exists, God does not exist, can you show me how, if let's say there's a pebble that's, on my street corner, right? Can you explain to me how that's evidence for the existence of God in the sense that the God hypothesis generates a prediction of that?
No, I don't really go into explaining to atheists evidence for God. You don't see evidence for God, so what am I going to do? Give you more of what you don't see? No.
I thought you said that. I thought you agreed that evidence is what's expected on a hypothesis.
Yes,
so
but I do not expect for you
there,
to see that, though. That's my point.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking.
Well,
I'm asking you.
You're asking me to explain, Jack. You're asking me to show you and explain to you what evidence is. You don't accept it.
No, I didn't ask you that.
I'm not going to give you.
I didn't ask you.
I'm not going to give you
you
more of what you don't accept.
We already agreed on what it is. You may have forgotten that. So, question is, right? How is it expected, given that God exists?
Well, then,
and it would not be expected. It would not be expected if God did not exist. That's what I'm asking.
If you're going to grant the proposition that God is the creator of all things, being a rock is a thing, then you would attribute that to God's creation. But you don't grant that. I understand you're an atheist, but in that proposition, if you are going to grant that God is the creator of all things, which is what Christians believe, then things like rocks and trees and whatever are derivative of the creator. It's not different.
I don't see that there's any predictive expectation that if God exists,
well, you're an atheist.
There would be a pebble. That there would be a pebble there, right? Isn't it consistent?
You're an atheist, Jack. I expect you to see it as you do.
Yeah. So the proposition that God exists, right, could be true even if there had been no pebble there, right?
Jack, I'm going to explain this one last time to you.
About just answering the question.
And then I'm going to explain this.
You're gonna tap out.
Okay.
And you're gonna dodge.
Have a nice day, Jack.
So you're running.
Have a nice day, Jack.
Yeah. See, Johnny. See, I don't know why you laugh at stuff like that.
No, I already explained it.
Because shut your mouth.
I already explained. Why don't you shut your mouth?
Shut up while I'm talking, dumbass.
You're such a little girl.
You shut your mouth. So
such a little girl.
Shut your mouth.
Why are you so emotional?
Shut your mouth. You laughed, right?
You're easily triggered.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You laughed when he said that wasn't evidence, right? You laughed at that. And so then I asked, why is he laughing? And so then Tom said, well, that's because you don't even know. You don't even have a coherent view of what evidence is. So we asked you what it was. And it turns out you couldn't show how that would be evidence for the existence of God, right? And when it became clear that you couldn't show that, right, you tapped out. But it wasn't enough for you to tap out, right? It was important for you to start over talking me, right, and trying to make fun of me and stuff like that. All because you couldn't defend your belief, right, that these propositions being true was evidence for the existence of God, right? So I just don't know who you think you're fooling.
You're wanting me to convince you. I just said that's not what I do. In the proposition, if you're granting the proposition that there is a God, and from the Christian worldview, we believe God created all things. Therefore, when a Christian, not a numbnut atheist like you, but when a Christian sees a rock, we see that as one of the things that God created because we believe God created all things. How about that, Jack? Does that make sense to you now?
Sorry. So does that mean that you're not tapping out now and you can answer my question?
Have a nice day, Jack.
Oh, so you're running and dodging again. What a surprise, Johnny.
You're just too inept. You're not qualified to actually have a discussion.
And now you're calling me names.
Yes.
Now you're calling me names and now you're over-talking me.
Yes.
Rather than answering the question that I asked you, right, Johnny? You know why
you're wanting me to give you evidence for
God. Shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth.
You're such a little...
Shut your mouth. You know why you aren't answering the question?
You're such a little girl.
Johnny, shut your mouth. You know why you aren't answering the question, Johnny? Because you don't have a fucking clue how to defend your position, right? And when you get cornered, you tap out, and then you start calling me a little girl when I point out that you're a fucking dodging piece of garbage.
Yeah, I also called you numbnuts as well, so you can add that to that pejorative.
Yeah.
list.
Are you tapping out, Johnny?
I'm not here to convince you.
You tapping out?
Yes, I'm not here to convince you.
So why are you talking?
I'm not here to convince you,
We were looking for people who could defend
I was
their
talking
views.
to Raw.
Shut your mouth. We're looking for people who can defend their views, not dumbasses.
Raw can. Why don't you ask him?
Yeah, I wanted to know why you were laughing, and it turns out you didn't have a
He sees evidence for God.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I wanted to know why you thought what he said was ridiculous, right? And it turns out you don't have any way of justifying that what he said was ridiculous.
Hey, panty waist, Raw believes there's evidence for God. Why don't you ask him?
Yeah, again, I was only interested in one question, right? Which is why what he said was ridiculous, right? And it turns out you don't have a justification. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. It turns out you don't have a justification for that, right? And now you're trying to save face, right? But if you try to enter the discussion again, I'm just going to repeat the question that you can't answer.
You heard my answer, Cupcake.
Yeah, you didn't answer, right? You want me to repeat the question?
No.
Yeah, you didn't answer the fucking question, you dumbass.
Well, why don't you ask Raw? He sees evidence for God. Why?
Yeah, so you seem to be even stupider than I thought. So you didn't hear me explain just now that I was only interested in one thing, which is why what he said was ridiculous?
I explained it.
Right? Did you hear me say that? Oh, you explained how it was ridiculous?
Yes.
So how is it the case that everything is expected on the God hypothesis?
Well, look, Jack, the replays are on. I explained it at least twice.
Did anybody
hear his
explanation?
Mouth.
Did anybody
you
hear
shut
his
your
explanation?
Mouth. Quit over talking me.
What was his explanation?
God in a rock. That's what I heard.
You didn't say that again?
He said that Christians.
Wait a minute, Johnny. Nobody here seems to understand your explanation.
I guess
Johnny.
they're as dumb
Christians
as you are.
see God in a rock. So wait a minute.
Guess
You
they're
said
as dumb as you are.
shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You agreed, right? You agreed that evidence is what's expected on a hypothesis, right? And I'm just trying to understand how even a trivial fact like a pebble being on my street corner, right, is something expected given that God exists, right? Because you see, what I was thinking was that God could exist without there being a pebble there. In fact, there's nothing about God that makes it more likely that there should be a pebble there or there should be a pebble at all, right? Because God is perfect, right? He doesn't need to create, right? All those things are just as consistent with the existence of God as that pebble being there, right? And if all those things are just as consistent, then it isn't the case that it's expected that if God exists, there should be a pebble there, right? But given that you think that evidence is what's expected on a hypothesis, then if there's a pebble there, it should be expected. And I'm just not understanding how you derive that predictive expectation, Johnny.
Well, Goofus, I explained why I laughed at him when he said a pebble is not even evidence for God. I explained it 2 or 3 times. If you don't get it, that's not my fault.
You explained how it is that if God exists, we should expect to see a pebble wherever we see one.
Go listen to the replay.
You explain that? Like right now, right, I'm looking at the sidewalk, right, and I can see a pebble on it, right? Now explain to me how, if I believed in God, that's what I should expect to see, a pebble, not just a pebble,
I don't
but
expect
a pebble
you to
right
see
there.
it. You're an atheist.
I'm asking you how to explain it.
Hey, Goofus, you're an atheist. I don't expect you to see it.
I'm asking you to explain why I ought to expect
I didn't say you ought to. Hey, Goofus, I wasn't talking about atheists.
Sorry. If somebody thought the proposition that God exists was
true... Hey, Goofus,
right?
I wasn't talking about atheists.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Right? You said, right, if the proposition is true, it should be expected, right? Because evidence is what's expected on the hypothesis.
Hey,
right?
Goofus,
Shut your mouth.
Hey, Goofus.
The proposition that shut your mouth.
I was responding to
shut
what
your mouth.
Rawl
Shut your
said,
mouth. Shut your
not
mouth.
what a
Shut
little
your mouth. Shut
pipsqueak.
your mouth. Shut your mouth. The proposition in question is God exists, right? And you're saying everything is evidence for that proposition. And you agree that evidence is what's expected if a proposition is true, right? It's what's expected on that proposition if that proposition is true, right? And so I'm asking you to show me why, if it's the case that God exists, right, and you see a pebble on your street corner, right, that's expected on the hypothesis.
Is it my turn now? Or
well, I hope you're going to answer the question this time.
Do you go ahead and emote,
You're
and
going
then
to
I'll
answer
speak.
the question, Johnny?
You asked why I laughed at what Rawl said.
So you're not going to answer
Rawl
the question. Why do you keep opening your mouth then?
Now it's your turn to shut your mouth.
We're only interested in you answering that question.
Hey, I tell you what, you finish up and then I'll speak.
No, we're only interested in you answering that question. Are you going to answer that question?
I don't expect an atheist to
Are
see
you
it.
going to answer that question, Dodger?
That was not my proposition, pipsqueak.
Sorry. Did you agree?
Hey, listen.
Did you agree?
Listen.
Shut your mouth.
No, you shut your mouth.
Shut up. Did you agree that evidence is what's expected on a
Have a
hypothesis?
nice day. Have a nice day.
Yeah. So run away.
Yes, Rawl, it was laughable for you to say
when
a rock
he says
is not
that
evidence.
it was laughable.
I'm talking to Rawl now, not
When he says
you.
that it was laughable, of course, he can't actually justify that claim. Right, Johnny?
I was talking to Rawl, not
Sorry, am I right about that, Johnny? That you can't justify that claim?
you not to
Sorry,
you.
am I right about that, Johnny? That you can't justify that claim? Was I right about that?
To you.
Can you
you're
justify
right.
that claim, Johnny?
To you, you're right.
Yeah, well, Johnny.
I don't guess you
I'll
listen
have to
very well.
shut your mouth.
No, you shut
your mouth. Yeah. So.
No, you.
See,
what
you said is that if that proposition is true, it's expected.
Hey, Jack.
So that should be true. That should be true for theists too.
Hey, Jack.
Right. It should be the case that if a theist believes that proposition, right, they should have the expectation there should be a pebble on that street corner. And I'm just not understanding that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm asking you to explain to a Christian why that would be expected. Can you explain that, Johnny?
I'll explain it to
you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
Rawl, the reason why Johnny laughed and I kind of chuckled myself, well, I didn't really chuckle, but the reason why it's funny is because you, a Christian,
Wait, are you answering my question, Matt?
No, I'm asking. Yeah, I'm actually.
Yeah, so you explain to me how given. Shut up. I'm going to clarify the question. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Shut your mouth, Matt. Shut up. Shut your mouth, Matt.
You shut up.
Shut up, Matt. Okay, so Matt, the question is, that God exists. Shut up. Here's the question I'm trying to get Johnny the Dodger to answer that you said you would answer for him, right? So, given that God exists, explain to me, right, how if there's a pebble on my street corner, that's more expected than not.
Well, that wasn't what Rawl said. Rawl actually.
Sorry. So let me try to clarify. Let me try to clarify how we got to that. Shut up.
But if he believes.
Shut your mouth, Matt. Let me try. Shut your mouth. Shut up. I'll clarify. Shut your mouth. I'll clarify. Shut your mouth. Shut up. I'll clarify how we got to that question, right? He was saying he didn't think it was evidence, right? And Johnny thought that was ridiculous, right? Now, I take it that it's ridiculous. The idea behind it being ridiculous is that it should count as evidence, right? So if it counts as evidence, and we agree that evidence is what's expected on a hypothesis, then that fact being true, right, should be expected if the hypothesis that God exists is true, right? So the question is, how is it that if God exists, That's expected on the hypothesis. That's how we got to that question. Now, is that the question you were volunteering to answer, Matt? Yeah, I thought not.
Oh, it's time for Christian powwow now.
Yeah, they're going to make their spite room. I'll be right back.
Oh, Jack, before you go. Okay.
Hey, Jack, the next time you see a pebble, I hope that reminds you of
Jack's
God.
not here, dipshit.
That's my prayer.
Jack's not here.
It doesn't matter.
That was a dumb thing to say, John.
Listen, bro, that exchange right there is the exact demonstration of why we don't get along with those guys. It's not because they're Christian, which is probably what they told you. It's because they're dishonest and they dodge and they just grandstand.
Well, I think, you know, everybody's trying to do the best that they can with the information they have.
Thank you, Rawl. Thank you.
They made a room.
The information from a pebble can be amazing sometimes.
Oh, it says,
Yeah,
Jack,
that's great,
come
John.
here and we can talk. Oh my god, what kind of person would go into that room? Why would... That's so ridiculous.
Is that the name of the room?
Yeah, because the problem was, well, I'm not sure what the problem was. Maybe because, well, Jack didn't have mods. They didn't have mods, so they were on an equal footing. So I'm not sure what they think a new room's going to accomplish.
Well, they'll have mods.
So they'll just, like, talk over him and just be really annoying, I guess.
And they can send him down for the win.
Well, what do you think of this idea that Jonny could prove it to a Christian, or he could justify it to a Christian but not to an atheist? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
No, I'm not really sure. Jonny had opened a room that said that he could change Christians' minds, but not Christians' hearts, or that that's just a general stance. And so, I mean, we were talking about that, and he said that, you know, I think he said that I couldn't change Christians' hearts, but I could change Christians' minds.
Do you mean atheists,
So that's
non-believers?
no. Yes, I'm sorry. I was misspeaking. He said that I couldn't change.
God exists was
Hey,
true,
Goofus,
right?
I wasn't talking about atheists.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Right?